Welcome to Hoyt's Bowhunting Whitetails. Today is Sunday, what is today's date? Do you remember, Ethan?
25th?
25th?
No, 26th.
We've lost all track of time here. We think it's the 26th, but we know it's Sunday. And we're going to be heading up to what I think is my best chance to kill a buck during the remainder of this early part of the Iowa bow season. Our firearm season comes in on Saturday. So we've got the rest of this week, this coming week, to try to put another buck on the meat pole. And Ethan did get out over Thanksgiving break a little bit. We'll talk about that once we get up to the blind. But the bigger story, I think, in this episode is going to be about the approach to these late season hunts. You know, the access route that we're going to take. We've been running those little electric buggies, scooters, up the bluff. But now with snow on the ground, and I don't know, we just never see anything coming out into that plot. And granted, I don't think they're in there at night either, but I mean, we're just not seeing any sign of life on those food plots. So there's some chance that they're seeing us. I don't think that they are, but we're going to completely eliminate that by walking up there. And we can sneak along the fence lines, and we can stay, you know, a lot better hidden than if we have to follow the trail like we would with that scooter. So it's going to be a lot more work. But you know, we're going to at least eliminate the possibility that they're seeing us from the equation. And I guess anytime you get past the rut and it's about the food, you know, hunting around the food, entry and exit gets super critical. And I'll talk about that a little bit more once we get up there. But that's the whole game. I mean, if you're going to have to sneak in, but just as importantly, you got to sneak out. And that's what's going to get us, I'm afraid, is, you know, sneaking in. Hopefully we got that covered, but sneaking out is going to be really tough. So we'll bring you some more action once we get up to the blind, and hopefully we can show you some deer this evening. That's the range where both of these bucks that I'm hunting, right in the middle of their range, at least what I know about their range. So with the rut winding down and the deer, you know, at least should be going back to food, this should be a really prime spot. Hoyt's Bowhunting Whitetails is brought to you by Redneck Blinds, Code of Silence Apparel, Hunt Stand Pro Whitetail, Fuse Accessories, Elevate Tree Stands, B3 Releases and Broadheads, and Hoyt. Ready for snap, crackle, and pop. Did you hunt over Thanksgiving?
Yeah, I hunted twice. Wednesday morning, and then I had some family stuff I had to do, and then I hunted last Saturday night as well.
So how'd it go? You don't seem too enthusiastic to tell your
It's
story.
slow. It's slow.
Whenever they stop without going any further into the story, you know it's not good.
Yeah, I mean, it's been really slow. I've been staying after that flyer buck, but he hasn't shown up since the 16th, so I don't know if all hope is lost, but I did check my cameras, and there's been a new buck that's showing up, and he's pretty nice, so if he walks out, I'll definitely take him, but I think the flyer buck is long gone, or who knows where he's at.
Well, the neighbor is kind of where he was living anyway, right?
Yep.
So, I mean, when they're making forays onto your area during the rut, but they don't really live there, it's pretty tough during once the rut is over. You know, because they kind of fall back into their traditional range. Because you didn't get him very much in September or even much in October, right?
Once in September and once in October.
Yeah, so he wasn't living on the farm that you were hunting. So that's tough, but hopefully this new one is staying there. You've got a little bit of food to hunt, or no?
I mean, there's food on the neighbors, but so I don't technically, but I can hunt them going out to the food. You know, like in funnels and pinch points and stuff like that, but no destination food.
Yeah. I hate to use the word sucks,
Yeah.
but it can really suck once the rut ends if you don't have the right setup. And I think this is the right setup. You know, historically, in my experience, I've had really good hunts where the bucks were going back to food at the tail end of the rut. You know, and I know I've talked to a lot of other people that have said the same thing. One big outfitter in southern Iowa down there where I used to own land, he said that's really one of their most consistent patterns is the evening hunts on food after the rut. So we'll test it tonight. There's quite a few bedding areas in the immediate area where we're hunting. There's one right in front of us, a couple of them to our left, one to our right, and then one kind of behind us. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, probably 5 bedding areas within easy walking distance of this little corn plot. So I'm going to break back in later in the episode and talk about how we would get out. And that's always the number one challenge for this type of hunting. Getting in isn't usually the biggest problem, but it can be really tough trying to figure out how to get out of there at the end of legal shooting time without the deer knowing. So we'll cover that in a little bit. We've got a little bit less than 2 hours left. We haven't seen anything yet. It's been pretty dead here. No deer, no squirrels, no turkeys, no chickadees. All of our usual comrades are holed up somewhere. Wanted to talk real quick about something that I started at the beginning of the episode, and that is how tough it is with the entry and exit on these feeding areas. We tried a bunch of stuff. Legally in Iowa, you can't use a remote control call. I think that would work. Like if you put a predator call like on the edge of the plot or someplace a little ways away, and you push the coyote howler button and you made that thing spook the deer. Well, I think that would work. It's just not legal here. Trying to get out of the blind and out of the tree stand at the end of legal shooting time next to food, you gotta have some way to clear the deer. And that was one option that people have mentioned. We tried flying a little drone out of the blind last winter. That didn't work because the deer associated that sound with the blind, and it might just as well have been us, walking out of the blind because they got spooked from the blind, which is not good. Thought about getting a monster truck, and just leaving it in the brush on the edge of the plot, and then just having that baby come wheeling out and race around. That's probably would work. I haven't found one yet that you can remote start, and I'm sure they're out there, but most of them you have to flip the on-off button, and then plus you got to carry that big thing around about the size of about half the size of Ethan, a big old monster truck. So that would work. There's only 2 things that I've found that are practical, that one of them always works, and that's to have somebody come into the field and run the deer off on a 4-wheeler or a vehicle. That works, and the deer they don't seem to take that to heart too bad. They come back the next day and it's fine. I've never seen that have any kind of long-term effect. The other one is to shoot a doe at the end of legal shooting time, and that seems to work pretty well too, because the other deer don't necessarily know what that doe is running from. They just take off and it just clears the field. I've had pretty good success doing that. I call it shooting my way out, and that does work to a certain extent, better than just climbing down, of course. So the biggest challenge is what's going to come, hopefully towards the end of this evening, if there are a couple of deer out here. How are we going to get out of here without spooking them? Because as soon as you spook them, then every time they come by here, they're going to stare at the blind. They're not going to come back into this food plot during daylight. Their body language is going to transfer to the other deer, and next thing you know, all the deer in the area are leery about coming into that area in daylight. that's the biggest challenge. And I wish Jordan was here because we could convince her maybe to drive up here with the four-wheeler and run him out. But she's laid up, unfortunately. We need to do an update on how come she's not hunting, but just as her shoulder was getting good enough where she could start drawing the bow again, she got a stress fracture in her lower back, upper hip. It's called the sacral ala, I think, and it's fairly common among top-level female distance runners. So she got that from running. So she can't really get around, but maybe by the late season, we can see some more of her. Well, that's the updates for now. We got a couple hours, and hopefully we'll have a reason to worry about sneaking out of here at the end of legal shooting time with deer around. We've got 40 minutes left. Legal shooting time, roughly. It'll get dark a little bit before that for camera light, so we'll be kind of out of commission. But we have seen 4 does, and they were downwind of us, pretty much straight downwind, and they didn't seem squirrely. So I think we're getting away with it. We're keeping the windows closed, and that comes at a price. You gotta squeegee them off almost constantly in order to be able to see out, and definitely if you're going to film out, because of the condensation from our breath on the windows. I've had good success doing that over the years. I've killed quite a few deer that way, actually, where the wind was blowing right to them, but as long as we kept the windows closed, they didn't smell us. It doesn't always work because not every blind is airtight, but I think this one's pretty good. Like I said, we're getting down to the wire. We might not have to worry about how we get out of here at the end of legal shooting time with deer around, because there might not be any deer around. But we'll check back in if something shows up and talk about it. Otherwise, we'll just show you what we see here. And I guess we'll be doing, every time I hunt, we'll do a daily video blog, and then we'll do the Whitetail Watch on Wednesday. So keep checking back. We'll try to keep this thing going throughout this coming week. My frustration level is going to be pretty high if nothing comes into this plot. What have we had, a month? I think we figured we've hunted here on and off for the last month without seeing a single deer. We at least saw those 4 this evening that were passing by behind us. So we'll see you right back here again soon for the next episode of Hoyt's Bowhunting Whitetails. And remember to always dream big.